Before this video starts, I just want to preface that this is going to be part one of a two-part video. Originally, I wanted to do both parts, one and done at the same time, but the secret ending is proving very difficult to figure out at this time. So, for the time being, we're just going to have this video talk about the events of Nightmare Mode itself. So, yeah. After 2 years of waiting, speculation, theories, and anticipation, TDX's long-awaited Nightmare Mode is finally here. And to say that this update was big would be an understatement. This update was huge in terms of difficulty, game-changing towers, and of course, lore reveals. Because the Nightmare Mode, and subsequently the ridiculously hard Ultra Mode secret, have done something that a lot of other games with lore seem to be afraid to do. Give us answers. This is because the Nightmare update is all about tying up loose ends. This is the end of TDX's first major story arc, the Xenon saga, as I'm calling it. And as such, we have learned a lot about major events relating to her and her relationship with Dr. Mallory, the GDA, and the Calamity. We have a lot to unpack here, so without further ado, please be sure to like the video, subscribe, and let's jump into the lore of Nightmare Mode. So, like I said earlier, this is just going to be talking about Nightmare Mode lore. Ultra Mode stuff will be in a later video. I am writing this before Ultra Mode comes out, so yeah, hopefully things I say here don't become outdated thanks to any reveals in the Ultra Mode cutscene or the secret ending. So let me start off with a quick recap of the events of Nightmare, just so that we're all caught up. Taking place shortly after the battle at Fortress Snowland, the GDA believe that they have Dr. Xenon on the run. Advisor sets out on a ship with some other GDA personnel to track her down. They think she's fled somewhere deep into space, but this turns out to be a trick to lure the Advisor away from Earth. With him out of the picture, Xenon commits to one last full-scale invasion of Earth, with the player and General Leah being the last line of defense that stands in her way, at least in the region that we're in. Throughout the waves, we see that this last batch of Xenon's creations have been perfected to the best of their ability, with Xenon even managing to solve the long-running core overheating issue that has plagued her creations since her time in the GDA. We also get to see that she has found better and better ways of harnessing the Calamity energy. And finally, we get proof that Xenon and Mallory were once part of the GDA organization, and both worked together on Calamity-related things. We also get hints that Mallory was sacrificed while part of the GDA, and that higher-up personnel like General Leah and presumably the Advisor knew what happened and are keeping it a secret from the player. I predicted this in my previous video, by the way. Anyways, finally we have the Emperor, who is without a doubt Xenon's most powerful creation of all. With voids, corrupting powers, manipulation over time, teleportation, life draining, creating energy clones of the previous Eradicators, and much more. Despite all this, he is eventually defeated, where he has a surprise for us all.
Hear me, Commander. My defeat was of no benefit to the GDA. In the end, my purpose wasn't to end you, only to weaken you. For them.
This is where Nightmare ends, on an insane cliffhanger for the Ultra Mode secret ending, which, once again, we will get to. But first, I want to focus on the Emperor for a bit. Obviously, his purpose was to bring about the Calamity, but how and why? Also, how is Xenon talking throughout his song despite never even being present? Well, there are simple answers to all of these questions. Firstly, how exactly does the Emperor summon the Calamity? Well, we learned from General Leah earlier in Nightmare Mode that Apex Predator's core explosion accidentally was enough to summon the Calamity Scout in Endless, which was absolutely devastating to the GDA and Xenon's forces alike. What I think is the case here is that Xenon intentionally is calling the Calamity to Earth once again with an even larger intentional explosion. That is what the Emperor's purpose was, to be so powerful as to bring two of Xenon's greatest enemies together so that they could both destroy each other once and for all. One might argue that Xenon would lose Earth, but at this point, why would she care for the planet anymore? Not only does she have a spaceship, we are also told that she has a base on the moon. But she has also tried to take over the world multiple times and failed. We learned this in expert mode. She's probably gone so insane to the point where she doesn't have use for Earth anymore, and, well, yeah. Now, let's move on to how exactly Xenon is controlling this thing. The GJ said a few times under the song Final Eradication that Xenon was in the mech, which would make sense until you realize that her being in the mech means that she would have died when the Emperor exploded. Not to mention, there's no implications that anyone could even fit inside the Emperor, nor does she have any last words for the player. It's just the Emperor talking. So what's going on here? Is the GJ lying, or does he mean something else? Well, it's my theory that Dr. Xenon was indeed inside the Emperor, but not physically. Instead, mentally. I think that Xenon was controlling the Emperor telepathically from her ship. Now, how would she do this? Well, I believe it has been staring us in the face all along. I believe she was doing it through her headset. Now, I know this might sound insane, but hear me out on this one. Prior to this, we've had no idea or clues as to what the headset is even used for. It is certainly a cool defining design trait of Xenon's character profile. It makes her look both cute and terrifying, doubling as bunny ears or devil horns depending on the framing. But before now, we've had no clues as to what its actual purpose is. That is until Aaron Prevail's most recent post. In this, we see him voice the following.
Neuralink complete. Welcome, Dr. Xenon. Awaiting further commands.
A neural link would tie perfectly into the imagery we see of Xenon and the Emperor in official TDX merch and branding, as well as with the Final Eradication song itself. The Xenon parts of the song have an electronic echo to them, almost as if it's her thoughts echoing through the Emperor.
Fine, I'll do it myself.
This would also fit with Xenon as a character. She's a lot like Lex Luthor in the new Superman movie, a character who rarely gets their hands dirty in person, but would gladly do it vicariously through her strongest creation. I don't know about you, but I think this makes a lot of sense. Finally, for the Nightmare section, I want to talk about the lore of the new maps. First off, we have Supremacy Prime. I believe this to be one of, if not the, central base or city of the GDA, mainly based on the name of the map itself, with Supremacy being longhand for Supreme and Prime meaning the first, and most important. Supremacy Prime just sounds like it would be the name of the GDA's main capital. Gun Facility is obviously the resting place for Gun, the GDA Ultimate Neutralizer. Gun is the largest GDA military asset we have ever seen, as he towers even over the Emperor. And in the map, we can see papers talking about its creation, as well as the problems relating to its creation. The GDA commissioned the robot to be made and tested within months. However, Forge Industries ran into multiple problems during testing. Then, a third company known as Milcorp shut down the whole thing for the foreseeable future. Pretty sad. I really hope that Gun gets used in the future in some sort of battle. You can't just make this thing and just have it be a map prop. Next we have Pacifica Ruins, which appears to be a destroyed city with a damaged GDA base being besieged by Xeno forces just outside. Nothing too special here, but it does show the scale of the conflict. Interestingly though, in the trailer we saw that Xenon and Advisor's ships were posted outside, however in the actual map they are nowhere to be seen, so maybe this is something tied to the secret ending. Next we have Castellian Reach, which appears to be a cathedral the Awakened were using during their invasion. This goes to show that the Awakened invasion still had some side effects left on the world, even if the GDA were able to clear them out. We do see ancient murals of Dea Vindicta and Calamity symbols, which is huge foreshadowing. And finally we have, well, Finality. Finality is probably the most abstract and insane of all the maps coming in this update, being a full-on look inside the Calamity homeworld. It is extremely abstract, and with a peek at the shattered moon in the sky, as well as a Mallory statue hidden below a bridge, there's just so much to talk about here. One things that we see are many trophies encased in glass. For example, Calamity scouts encased in glass standing all along the sides. We also see an Eradicator head spliced into 4, a dragon head, a chiseled gold cube, and a Grim Reaper's scythe, which bears a striking resemblance to Grim's scythe from Tower Battles. Another hint that he could be related to the Calamity, or it could be Mallory's scythe, who knows. Lastly, under the bridge, we see a woman crying, which, like I said before, I believe this to be Mallory, or at least her original body. It's a sad fate for Mallory for sure, but not as sad as the things that we will likely bear witness to in Ultra Mode. And with that, I'm going to call the first half of this video here. I'm sorry, I really wanted to make this just a full dive into the lore of Nightmare and Ultra, but once again, the secret ending is proving very tough to find out. So I will have more updates for you when we figure that out. But for now, without further ado, please be sure to like and subscribe, and remember to hit the notification bell for when part 2 comes out. See you guys all next time. Bye.